Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Welcome to Chris is Talking, and this is my weekly manga review for One Piece, and this is for chapter 825, the We Times comic strip. So this chapter is broken into several different sections. The first section is focusing more on Whole Cake Island or Big Mom's ship and Sanji, what's going on there. The second section is to do more of the Straw Hats, and I'll go into later on. So yeah, starting off with how the manga starts. It literally starts off showing Big Mom's ship singing, saying ship, but God knows what that's about. Hopefully in the anime we'll be able to understand a bit more of what the ship sounds like, whether it's a squeaky voice, whether it's a deep voice, or whether like the ship can say anything more than that. So I'm pretty interested to see about that. And then it goes into a character, I should know the name but I don't, so sue me. It goes into a character telling the story of a superhero or a hero from a comic book strip that he used to read when he was younger, and it was about this guy who had a seagull in his head and went around fighting crime, and most of his villains were predominantly the GERMA 66. And in a way, I think that the story's trying to portray that the guy with the seagull could maybe be Sengoku, and portraying the Marines versus the GERMA 66. And the guy telling the story basically explains that the GERMA 66, because they're the bad guys, they were almost they lost almost all the time. But he used to always root for the bad guys, for the GERMA 66, and he used to always want them to win because yeah, I think he's just intentionally bad. If I'm not mistaken, I do think that the guy who's telling the story is part of Capone's group, and we get introduced to another guy later on. I won't rush into that, but he's also part of it. The name will come up in a second, so don't kill me. As he's telling the story, we then get to see a bit more of Big Mom's ship, a few more of the characters that are on the ship as well, as like Big Mom's guards. They look like the cards from Alice in Wonderland, but when I say they look like, they kind of remind me of. They don't really look like them. They actually look like chess pieces, which is interesting. So they're going around like in an orderly format. There's a strong sense of the theme here seems to be heavily like, the theme heavily reminds me of an Alice in Wonderland style kind of esque, if you kind of got what I mean. When you read it, you'll see what I mean, like from the ship talking and singing, and from when Sanji ends up looking at the door and the door's talking and was asleep and whatnot. Like heavy Alice in Wonderland themes in this, which is pretty cool, but I want to see where it goes with it. It's interesting. It's kind of different to the rest of One Piece, but to be honest, every time One Piece has gone into a new arc, there's been something that's totally different from the previous arc, and One Piece is really good at giving us a new direction, a new story, new plots, and new parts of the imagination. Oda really does his best, and that's one thing that really does draw me into One Piece. But moving on from that, yeah, so Sanji is basically going around Big Mom's ship, and he's been, well, it's been shown now that he's being treated like a prince. So maybe it's to do with his connection to the GERMA 66, and or maybe it's just to do the fact that he's like Sanji and he's one of the children, or maybe to do with the wedding. But we are showing that he's treated as a prince, and Caesar Clown, finally, it's been a while, not like I liked him anyway, but he was a really good comic relief for One Piece. Caesar Clown, he's being treated like a prisoner, which is pretty hilarious, and he's all like, oh yeah, I was this, that, like, I'm really important, but yeah, he's just useless. But yeah, Sanji's basically just being a boss, not giving a fuck, really letting this guy know, I'm not going to marry Big Mom's daughter. Why do you keep telling me the stories? Leave me alone, fuck off, basically. And that's pretty cool. And this guy with the long hair and the glasses who was telling the story at the beginning, he's really like a fanboy of Sanji. He really wants Sanji to be part of the Big Mom family. He really wants Sanji to marry Pudding so that they can bring the GERMA 66 and Big Mom's crew together. So I don't know why. Hopefully show to us why he's such a fanboy, but it could have been because of the fact that he's been reading those damn comic books since he was a kid, and he's just a GERMA 66 fanboy. But yeah, so he wants to try and bring the BENSOUND family and all that kind of stuff all together. So yeah, we then get introduced to another one of his colleagues, pirate crewmates, his nakama, called Goatee. And yeah, so as I said, Capone's pirate crew is called the Fire Tank Pirates. And yeah, so the guy we get introduced to next is called Killer Goatee, and he just looks like something. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at it whilst I'm talking at the same time. What is that on his arm? His arm is huge. It has like a cannon kind of thing on it. Did he get amputated or something? But anyways, oh, I can also see as well whilst looking at the manga. But yeah, we're talking more about the Alice in Wonderland theme. You can see that there's like checkerboard floors, like check pieces floors, of black and white squares going all across the floors. In Sanji's room, that's pretty cool as well. Like Oda's really trying to give us that Alice in Wonderland theme. Killer Goatee, when he came in, he really didn't give a fuck. Like, he didn't care who Sanji was, and he's all thrown, aiming his weapon straight up at Sanji. And the previous guy we got introduced to, like, he's like, no, he's really important, just don't attack him, this, that. Sanji's like, fuck off, like, why are you even in my room? Leave me alone. Like, I'm not gonna get married. What's going on here? All that kind of stuff. And then somebody looks like Lola comes in, like, basically explaining to not put a scratch in him, telling Killer Goatee to leave him alone. Killer Goatee's just like, I think that's his wife, maybe? I couldn't tell you, but Killer Goatee's just there looking all scared, and damn, this chick is as ugly as Lola. But yeah, it could be Lola, but Sanji does say, in any case, they really do look familiar. So this confirms that it's not Lola, which is interesting. So I think hopefully we might get a bit more information about that. The chapter then moves on from that and goes to my throat. The chapter then goes on and goes to the Thousand Sunny, and the Straw Hats look like they are dying of thirst. It is boiling as fuck. The sea is boiling. Why is the sea boiling? What is going on with Luffy's skin? Luffy's skin looks like it's all wrinkled. He's like fucking parched as hell. Every one of them looks mad dry. Brooke's making more jokes about him, saying that he could die and be like a mummy, but whatnot. He even tries to make a sexual comment to Nami, and she's like, I'm too knackered for this, leave me alone, I'm just gonna rest out, I don't have time for your bullshit. She says, I can't even muster the strength to berate you, which is cool. Oh my god. So we're going through there. So yeah, the Straw Hats are still fucked. They are fucked without Sanji. And if Luffy never destroyed, yeah, I'm gonna say destroyed. If Luffy never destroyed the whole meal from before, then they would have had actually something to eat. But they have nothing to eat, so they can't do shit. They end up doing a bit of fishing to try and get something, and then they catch a huge giant fish that they're not Sanji. They don't know everything about the sea. Like, Nami knows a lot about the weather conditions and all this kind of stuff and landmarks and stuff, but they don't know about the foods that they can cook and they can't cook. And Luffy straight up catches this huge giant fish, lands in it, and then I think Chopper's like, I think something's wrong here. Let me check in Sanji's books, like how to cook this and see what's going on here. Boom, goes to check in the books. Chopper's all like, Chopper ends up saying, I can't find anything in Sanji's stash, and he's saying Sanji's got a whole bunch of porno, and like, which is like, yeah, like why has Sanji got porno and like cooking stuff all together? That's pretty creepy. But when he comes back, Luffy's already eaten the fucking fish, which is interesting because anytime that Oda introduces us to Luffy being sick or ill, there tends to be a bad guy who ends up coming up, who Luffy has to fight, but he can't because he's too weak, so one of the weaker Straw Hats has to end up fighting him. Sanji's not on this ship, Zoro's not on this ship, so it's probably going to be either Chopper, Brooke, or Nami, so like one of those three. So that being said, we know that it's not going to be an extremely powerful person who's going to come, because this has happened before in quite a few other chapters when Luffy's been taken out for a while, not because of like fighting or anything, but just because of some dumb bullshit like being poisoned or being ill or too tired or asleep. So yeah, so that kind of happens again. Oda even goes out of his way to show that Luffy won't be around anytime soon, because he makes he writes that Chopper says we're dangerously low on medical supplies, and now there was no reason for him to actually say that physically, unless there's going to be a situation where they needed to be fully healed. And who's the only one who's taken out? Luffy, the strongest person on the ship, obviously. And Chopper looks like he cares, but he's crying and eating like all in one go. He gives no fucks. I don't think anyone really gave a fuck, which is hilarious. Suddenly it starts to snow, and Nami ends up saying, you've got to be, now it's snow. No, those clouds, saccharine clouds. well, basically, he ends up seeing that it's kind of like cotton candy snow starts coming down, even though at one moment it was like extremely boiling, the next minute it's snowing. I don't know whether this is on the same day or whether this is as a few hours later, because I think it's SIBLNGS is talking about how some time's passed by, so Black Leg Sanji must have arrived at the island by now, which they never really showed us in this chapter whether they did, but we've been on a Big Mom ship for a while, so they should have actually arrived by then. And SIBLNGS confirms that what they're seeing is actually the cotton candy snow, so that means that they're actually getting closer to Whole Cake Island. The Den Mushi starts ringing, and they're all like, all the straws are like, why is it ringing? Who's calling us? But then SIBLNGS just confirms that it's just a warning signal to let them know that they're actually reaching Big Mom's territory. So it doesn't even mean like the island, not even like the ship, it just means just the territory. And you know how the Yonkos are. The Yonkos have huge territories around the world, so they could still have a long ass time before they even reach anywhere close, because if Big Mom hasn't even reached them, so they're obviously nowhere near to Big Mom. Like Big Mom left like a long time ago, I think straight after the Dressrosa arc, so they're not close, they can't catch up anytime soon. But this kind of shows how vast amount of like space and like land and sea that Big Mom owns, which is pretty cool. SIBLNGS then says that you can see something in the mist, and it's like a giant snail looking kind of thing. I'm looking right now, it looks like a giant freaking snail. And how big are these ships in One Piece? Because Frankie didn't make a small ship. We know that the Thousand Sunny is huge compared to the ship that they used to have before. So all these giant ships that are starting to appear are like, what in the actual hell? And this is a snail. This one looks like a giant snail from the front. This is so, how is this a monster sea snail or something like that? And SIBLNGS end up saying, well, no, it's the GERMA 66 ship, exclamation mark, some guy who looks like Dragon, but it's not Dragon because it's obviously the GERMA 66 has there, and it has curly eyebrows just like Sanji, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so we know he's definitely to do with Sanji's family. So yeah, GERMA 66, shadows, glasses, a little bit of a hoodie. Luffy's still taken out, so that means that Luffy won't be the one fighting. It's not too serious right now, because if they wanted to, the GERMA 66 could have just taken him out straight away, but the GERMA 66 even said, I assume you lot are the Straw Hat crew. So this depends like on what the GERMA 66 have, or what their plans or intentions are for not attacking them. They could have just taken him out straight away. So that's that. Yeah, so Luffy's taken out from poison, even though he can't be poisoned. We've seen that from In Power Down, but he's taken out from poison. The GERMA 66 have arrived, so now they're ready to do what? I don't know, maybe to take in the Straw Hats, maybe to talk to them, maybe to have a fight with them. But if they are going to have a fight, Oda has made it so Luffy can't fight, so this shows that one of the weaker Straw Hats will end up fighting them, which could kind of show the strength of the Straw Hats, because yeah, we haven't really seen Nami or Chopper or Brook fight seriously in a while, and all of them are still meant to be quite formidable opponents. They may not be the highest points of the One Piece, well, the Straw Hat crew, sorry, but they're still meant to be fairly strong. So if they can take out like the lower members of the GERMA 66, this shows that they are like worth being on the Straw Hat crew. Or it could just be that the GERMA 66 are looking to take in the Straw Hats because of the fact that Sanji is such an important person. But from how Sanji's been and how he doesn't like his family, I don't think it's going to be that simple. But yeah, so that's pretty much that. It was quite a short chapter this week. I know this review was a lot longer than usual. When it's got a lot more information or details or stuff, or new characters coming in, I want to try and give out more information by doing this new setup where I'm talking to you guys. I'm also bringing out the information and reading at the same time. I did read this chapter earlier, but I wanted to make sure that information given out is in the chronological order, otherwise it just seems like it's a bit everywhere. It is chrisIsTalkin, so you guys should have been prepared for longer reviews or videos, but this is kind of stuff I want to be doing. If you liked my review and like to see more from my One Piece reviews, you can like and subscribe and share the video. That way you can be alert and know exactly when I'm going to release my other reviews, as well as letting other people know when my reviews are coming out. I also do anime reviews, and you can check out my Twitter, my other things. All the information will be just down below in the description box with more details about where you can find me. I hope you guys did enjoy this, and yeah, this is my One Piece review for 825. Luffy's taken out, Sanji still looks like he's not going to get married, GERMA 66 introduced, SIBLNGS is scared as fuck, Caesar the Clown is in prison, And yeah, that's about that. So it was a really good chapter. I'm looking to see where it goes. Who do you think that person is at the last page? How do you think that person's connected to Sanji? Do you think it's Sanji's brother or uncle or dad or something like that? Because they got the same curly eyebrows. But yeah, that's about that, man. If you do like it, do subscribe and remember.